Hi y'all, this is Charity from F.R.O.G Crochet. I know it's been a while. Last week I had vacation Bible school at church. But let me get our devotion done. I'm going to do today's and tomorrow since we will be hitting midnight here pretty soon. But today's Friday, July 28th. Well watered. A generous person will be enriched, and the one who gives a drink of water will receive water. Proverbs 11:25. Following hours of perspiration and many moments in prayer, I stood before the ladies to teach God's word. The size of our gathering numbered approximately 30. Not a huge group, but big enough. And the Lord had brought each woman for a purpose, his purposes. The Holy Spirit worked as I shared scripture passages plus God given words, for the Lord promises. My word that comes from my mouth will not return to me empty, but it will accomplish what I please. Isaiah 55:11. God amazes me in his generous love. He watches us in our ordinary happenings of our lives, and he sees the spiritual investments we make on behalf of others. He knows when we're filled up, overflowing, nearing empty, or depleted, and he cares for us so well. After enjoying that meaningful morning of watering women with God's word, the Lord refreshed me in the evening at a Christian music concert. I smiled at my husband as we settled in the well worn couch at the coffee house venue. You know the kind. It was one of those sofas that swallowed you up, making it difficult to rise. Yet we quickly situated ourselves as the first artist shared her heart and melodies. And by the end of her portion, I'd become a fan of this young woman who clearly loves Jesus. Then the featured singer and songwriter entered the stage. God powerfully ministered to me through his storytelling, lyrics, and music. Awkwardness gently flowed as awareness gently flowed as I realized the Lord was replenishing me since I'd poured out earlier, and his tender touch caused my heart to sing. The next time we serve God, let's anticipate his nourishing response. And our prayer is, Father, thank you for noticing my labors and refilling me. And for a deeper walk, read Luke 6, 38. And um, we're not quite at midnight, but we're close enough. We got about 9 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and read tomorrow's, which is called The Safety Line. No one will be able to stand against you as long as you live. I will be with you. I will not leave you or abandon you. Joshua 1:5. When my husband, daughter, and I were in Colorado, we took a raft trip down the Animas River. I don't know what possessed me to let go of the safety rope that ran the inside length of the raft, but I did, and threw my arms in the air. Within seconds, the raft took an unexpected 3-foot drop in the rapids. I slipped off the rounded bench, landing in a precarious position, making it difficult to right myself. The Lord protected me because I could have been easily tossed into the river. What happens when we let go of God's safety line by reducing our prayer and Bible reading time and failing to rely on His direction? There can be unpleasant consequences, much worse than just a dose of humiliation. Fellowship may be broken from our end, but God is still with us, protecting us, never leaving us. My fiasco reminded me not only to hold fast to the safety line next time I go rafting, but also to hold steadfastly to the Lord. How can we do this? Commit our way to the Lord and trust in Him. This is Psalm 37:5. Hold on to our hope because He is faithful. See Hebrews 10:23. Stand firm in the Lord's work. See 1 Corinthians 15:58. Know that nothing can separate us from the love of God. See Romans 8:39. Consistency is the key to achieving these things through reading the Bible, God's love letter to us, as well as spending time in prayer, worshiping Him, and having fellowship with other believers. He is so faithful to us. May we be steadfast with Him. Our prayer is, Lord, thank you for keeping me in the safety of your hand. Help me to be more steadfast in my relationship with you. And for deeper walk, read Psalm 37, 1 through 9. Hi, welcome in. And that is next week's. Alright, let me fix this so I can see what everybody's saying. Turn my volume down. So I don't have feedback. There we go. All right. So I can see the chat because I can see that up there. All right. I do have what they call an FO, finished object. I had finished a baby blanket for one of my nieces, and I finished a baby blanket for one of my sisters. And that's a blanket. I finished this last week and sewed in the tail the other day. But it's some yarn from Hobby Lobby and then baby blue from, I guess, the Walmart yarn, baby yarn. But they're both 3-weight, and this had some blues in it. So, and it's just your moss stitch. And then I just did a single stitch all the way around and then a half double all the way around for the border. And I just used the solid blue around the edge. And what I've been working on is I just recently did a baby doll dress for one of the little girls at church, and her birthday was Thursday last week, and we had VBS going on, and I barely got it done in time to get it to her on Sunday. I literally stayed up Saturday night working on it to get it finished to take it to church on Sunday. She wasn't there, but her grandma was there, and I was able to give it to her. She got it through her grandmother, and I got tickled with it because she gave me a thank you card that she made herself. The little girl did, and I actually named the little doll because I find little dolls at Goodwill, and I try to do dresses for them, like this here. Now, this one was a onesie that was one of my kids' onesies, and it's a little too big for the doll, but when I got this doll, it had no clothes whatsoever. So, but this is Sonora, and I am making a dress for Miss Sonora. I might try to see if I can find, I have some preemie diapers, and I might try to see if I can find one to put on her. That's what I usually do, is just put a diaper on her, but on them, especially if they don't have clothes when I get them. I have no idea what I did with my preemie diapers. They're in my craft room somewhere buried. This is the start of Sonora's dress. Still, for is that little girl's sister, and this little girl's favorite color is green, and this has some greens in it. And then I'm going to take this, find it, there it is, this green, and put like little ruffles here and little ruffles right here, and just put single crochet around the collar. And then I'm going to put some green down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to put a headband in green and do a little flower in this color for the doll. But this is Miss Sonora, and she is getting that beautiful little dress. I got this for $2.99 at Goodwill. Just the baby doll, no clothes. I said this was one of the kids' little onesies that I just stuck on her so she wouldn't be without clothes. And this is another Goodwill find. I found this a couple weeks ago. Look at that. All that is loop yarn. Guess how much I paid for this? Big old bag of that loop yarn. And this is really, really, really soft. I paid a total of $4.99 for that bag of yarn. But it's this loop yarn. And Miss Kitty loves to do this. She thought she was going to get it. This is mine. I haven't done that yet. I want to try it. I haven't tried this stuff yet. But this is really, really soft. And it's just all solid gray. This stuff, if you get it at Michael's or Joann's, runs $12.99 a thing of this. And I don't know how many's in here, but this thing is just cram-packed full of that loop yarn. And it was only $5. for this bag. And then this I've had for a little while. I had set it down and forgot where I put it. But a friend of ours had went through her closet and she was cleaning out stuff. And she had found some yarn that she had bought a while back that she had started. She did a little bit with yarn. And she gave me this. And this is, there's the Red Heart Symphony. And that kind of a purpley color. And it's a 4-weight. And this says it's made in Turkey. And this says magenta is the colorway. There's that one. And then we got like an orange. That so does not do that justice. That looks way too bright. But this is persimmon. It's more, that's coming out like really, really, really brown, almost orange color. But this is more of a reddish brown or reddish orange. But it's called Persimmon, and it's the Red Heart Symphony. And that's what it looks like. And there's another one in here. It's a blue, but this one didn't have a label. So I don't know what color it is, but it's the same stuff as the other. And this one looks like it was partially used. But hey, it was free. And this one says Candlewick yarn, 90 feet, 30 yards, but it's that really thin stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. It says it's 100% cotton. And just gives me a number, no color. Then I'm guessing this is like homespun stuff, but there's that. Man, she did give Miss Kitty a bunch of scarves, and I think that's what this is. Leftovers from some scarves that she had done. There's this one. A little bit of that one. And here's actually a scarf in here that was finished. That one, I will keep that for me. Miss Kitty's not a fan of blue. This one is a bunch of like a charcoal gray mixed with black. There's the rest of that blue one. And this don't look quite like this Red Heart Symphony. It's similar to it. It's in a tan color. It's different. And that one don't have a label. A little bit of cotton, like sugar and cream cotton yarn in here. I think you call this like an eyelash yarn. It's called Radiance. But it's called Sensations Radiance. 54 yards, almost 55. Glasses keep sliding off my nose. And this is called Turquoise Novelty. Don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I might put it with this so I can see my stitches. And then there's some in black. And then there's a little bit of this stuff in there. It's different shades of purples. It's looking like a navy blue mixed in there, but it's actually just a darker purple. Here's a little bit of baby yarn in a pale pink. And it's looking white in that picture. But it's a really pale pink. Maybe if I put the white with it. No, it still looks white in there. That is extremely pale pink, but I guess because of my light, it's making it look white. A very tiny bit of baby yarn in a blue, really light blue. That's looking like a mint green, but it's a really pale blue. This is some kind of looking ribbon looking stuff. I thought that was neat. Different colors. Some cotton yarn with different, it's white with a bunch of different colors in there. There's pinks, greens, blue. I think I see a little bit yellow, but just little speckles of different colors. And that's your peaches and cream cotton yarn. More of this really, ooh, this one's pretty. This is called Fizz Stardust Crystal Palace Yarns. Gives me a color number, no actual color name. 86% polyester, 14% Lorex, hand wash and dry flat, 120 yards. It's 50 grams. There's that. It's really sparkly. That would be pretty on a scarf. No, this is not actually a thrift store on this one. This was given to me. A friend of mine, she had some yarn in her closet. She had made several scarves, and she actually gave the biggest majority of the scarves to Miss Kitty. And this one was down in here. I don't know if she intentionally put that in my bag or she meant for that one to go in for Miss Kitty or not. But I'm keeping that one because it's blue. And Miss Kitty is not a fan of blue. But she don't do crochet anymore. So she gave me the stuff that she had. And then this is Carousel Windholt. This is acrylic. And it's white and that lighter color green. And that's like a really deep forest green. And it says mountain greenery is the color. That fits because you got the white for the mountains, for snow, and then your different shades of green for the trees and stuff. This one looks like it's partially used, but hey, cool. Never seen this type of yarn before, but that's the brand. And what else we got down here? I think in this lighting, I believe this is black. Just a bunch of 4-weight black yarn. And Then there's a free pattern. Oh, knitting, actually. This is Knitting Basics from Joann's. One of the little tear off things that was down in here. I don't know how old this thing is. 2004. It was back from 2004. Knitting Basics. And I don't knit. But that was, I said this was all give to me. That was stuff that she don't do crochet anymore, so she knew I did, and she gave me those. And I got a couple things from Amazon, and they just did arrive today. It's back down in here, and I'll show you what I got from Amazon. Like, that's all of it. Anyway, I needed to order a spelling book for Miss Kitty for this school year, and it was hard to find a 9th grade spelling book. So I got on Amazon and I found one, but it said it was an activity book, and I didn't have, the only picture it gave me was just the front of the book. And I didn't read that it was an activity book. And basically all it had was, the first page was, take 11 of your spelling words and write a little short story and underline your spelling words. And then the rest of the page was just blank. It just had a little short paragraph at the top telling them what to do. No spelling words on that page whatsoever. Flipped the page and it was something else, some kind of other activity thing. But it had no spelling words whatsoever. And then there was some pages where she could write her spelling words as a list of, for spelling tests. But no spelling words. So I was like, okay. Because I couldn't look at what the inside of the book looked like. So I just like, okay, well, I ordered it, and it wasn't very expensive. So I went back and I looked and I found another one, and it said 9th grade spelling vocabulary workbook or something like that. So I had to order that one as well. And I think the other one was like $11.98 or something like that. And then this one was $14.98. But so that I can get free shipping. Yeah, no, it wasn't very helpful at all, Chris. But anyway, says that I could get free shipping through Amazon. I found me a few things, and it's just 2 diamond paintings. This one here came in a little bag, like here, and it says Tiny Fun. But I wanted to look at it. I actually wanted to show it to my husband what the picture was. Let me pick these out. I don't drop those. But when I seen this one, I just fell in love with it. And I couldn't believe that this size of a painting was the price that I paid on Amazon. It's a 30 by 40 in size, centimeters. And this was $3.99 for this. Y'all can see. I got that for $3.99. And I love to do diamond paintings. Sometimes whenever I don't do crocheting, sometimes I'll sit and do this, especially now that Miss Kitty and Little Man are going to be doing school soon. And I'll keep y'all posted on when I work on this. I think this one will be my next one. I just fell in love with this one when I seen it. And it is going to be mostly black and white and some grays, but it looks like the tiger eye or the lion eye will be like a gold color. But I thought that was neat that this size for $3.99 on Amazon. And then this one, because it's got two things that I love. This love. It says, every day is a new beginning. Take a deep breath and start again. And it has a lighthouse right here. And on the bottom, it's got a sea turtle. Now, I like sea turtles and I like lighthouses. So I said win-win for me. Two things on one that I like. So, and this one was more. It was $7.99 and then I had a coupon for it. But to get Miss Kitty's book without having to pay shipping, I did that. So I'm gonna let Miss Sonora sit right here while are you gonna stay there while I work on her? Right now I've got some coasters in there that I haven't finished. But I don't come in here in the summertime because it's really, really hot in here. The next room over is what we call the sunroom, and it has several windows. And there's two small windows here, and then you got a big, huge window in the center of the big door, and it lets a lot of heat in here. So it gets extremely, extremely hot in the rooms. It's probably 83, 84 degrees in here right now. I'm actually starting to sweat sitting in here. But anyway, so a lot of times I don't come in here during the summer. But Miss Kitty's going to be starting to do school soon, so it'll give me something to do quietly while she's working on her schoolwork. But the kids absolutely loved the solar system that I had made. The little boys, he won it. And then I had another little kid that come up and was like, I really wanted that. That's so cool. But I was just like, I kind of really did want to do the playmat. I told her, I said, I will do the planets for you. I said, but I had so much money tied up in that playmat. I think I did. The lady that did the video for it, she said it took, what was it? I think she used 5, and I ended up using 5.5 But I used a different type of yarn. Um, I used Red Heart Super Saver with this metallic stuff in it. Made it look sparkly, kind of made it look like the galaxy looking thing. And it twinkled. They that's one of the things that a lot of the kids really, really liked, was that because I used that metallic, and in the lights it made it look like there was stars on there, is that metallic stuff twinkled in the lights. Um, and then for the path of the rotation of the path of each planet, I had the silver um, metallic yarn going through it for the rings for its orbit rotation. Um, I already finished that one. Okay, I can't remember if I finished that stitch or not. But uh, but I said 5.5 things of yarn, and that's not counting the silver stuff. Um, I did, was it two or three of the Red Heart Super Saver. Then I ended up getting the big twist in the black because I got more yardage, even though it was a little bit more expensive, but I got more yardage in the big twist. So, but, oh, Chris, did you see this? I'm working on this little dress for Miss Sonora. This is Miss Sonora. And when I gave that little girl her card to go with her doll, I had wrote her a little letter as if the doll had wrote a note to her. And I put in there, "Dear so-and-so, my name is Sally, and this lady found me at Goodwill, took me home, cleaned me up, and made me a new dress. And she was wondering if you would like to keep me because she needs room for other dollies to make dresses for other little girls." And I can't remember what all I put on there. It was something along those lines. Anyway, I guess she absolutely, absolutely loved it because I got a card in the mailbox and my husband got it. I didn't go check the mail that day. I think it was Tuesday that it came in the mail. And I got tickled with him because on the front of it, it says, it said, "Thank you for Sally." And my husband had come home with it, and he says, "Who in the world is Sally?" I got tickled with him. I started laughing, and I said, "Oh, I know who that's from." I said, "That's from one of the ladies at church, her little girl." I said, "I had did that doll dress that I had showed you." I said, "for her birthday, and I had named the doll Sally." And and I had told the little girl's mom that I was making her something for her daughter for her birthday. And this young girl has, she turned 9, like it was. Anyway, she has 2 younger sisters. And I thought, well, I can't leave them out either. And she also has a younger brother. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for him yet. I'm thinking I might make him one of my. I found a pattern on Yarn Inspirations. It's a free pattern for an octopus, and I might make him one. And his favorite color is blue, so I might make him a blue octopus. I have actually made Little Man, orange one, a while back, and sometimes it's on his bed, sometimes it's in the floor, but he likes to have that octopus on the bed with him when he sleeps. I can't remember what he named it. One year he got a turtle. We had sea stuff themed, and that's why I looked for that octopus pattern. Was that I had made made him one, and then I also made one for VBS. And the one I made for VBS was multicolored. I think it was pink, purple, green, and it was all sparkly yarns that I had. And I had just used leftover yarns to make that one. And the kids loved it. But I thought it was just so funny that he was just like, who the heck is Sally? But yeah, I told him who it was, but I just thought, well, if I made the one little girl a doll, well, I gave her the doll. And that one too, the doll that I had give her, I had found it at Goodwill. Now that one actually had a dress, and it actually came with shoes when I got it for $2.99 at Goodwill. This one did not. There's been several little dolls that I have found at Goodwill that does not have any clothes, and a few of them do have clothes. But I just thought that was my idea, was to make little kids' days, and just, it was her birthday, so I just wanted to do something nice for her birthday. And I'm sure that her sisters are not very happy that they didn't get one either. So I figured I might start on this. And I don't know if one of them has a birthday before Christmas. Then I guess I will give one of them their dolls. But if they don't have a birthday before Christmas, then they will get these little dollies for Christmas this year. But like I said, that one is Sonora. And I am just making up my own pattern as I go. Now this one here, I'm going to trim. I'm going to do this ruffly look here. And I'm going to put green there. But this one is Sonora. The other one, because the youngest one, her favorite color is rainbow. I'm going to have a little bit smaller doll than this one, but it was $2.99, and it does actually have a dress with it. And this one, I don't know, it's got a few markings on it and stuff, but I have took rubbing alcohol and cleaned her down. She had a rubbing alcohol bath to sanitize her. So, Miss Sonora is clean, ready to go. And I will do the same with the other whenever I get to that one. And I have some pastel rainbow kind of yarn in there in the other room. I don't remember what the colorway is, but it's a mandala yarn, and I'm going to make a dress for her as well. And that little doll will be named Anne. Yeah, all the kids absolutely love the solar system. Actually, Chris, if you do you crochet? Oh, you're new to crocheting. Okay. I was going to say if you're which the planets were very easy, and if you know the I think the abbreviations for stitches, um I can't remember if they did actually spelled it out or if they just used abbreviations, but basically they just used for the planets magic ring and single crochet. Um, and then polyfiber fill stuff for the planets. Earth was really easy. They actually told you how many stitches to do. It was a little challenging because you had to keep up with, okay, this is your pattern. You have 3 singles, 2 or in 1 increase, and then you got to keep that all the way around that one ring, but you were changing colors as you were going. So it was you get to keep that 3 single and 2 in your increase, which was 2 stitches in one spot. But you had to keep an eye on whether you needed 2 crocheted green and 3 blue spots. Is that one was a little bit challenging, but the rest of them were pretty easy to follow. But I found the tutorials on a channel called Toy Gurumi, not Amigurumi. It's Toy Gurumi. And the person didn't talk. They just played music, and the pattern was down at the bottom of the screen. But they showed you some of the stitches, and then they would they would point that you go all the way around to finish that round. And the playmat basically was just no, not half double. The playmat was double crochet all the way around. Now, one of the things that I did differently than what they did for the rings, for the silver rings that I put on it, I actually took and added in the silver, and I did single crochet on the round that they said that they placed it. Now, the lady that, or I don't know, you never see the person's face. You just see their hands and then the notes at the bottom of what to do. But it's all double crochet basically for the whole playmat. And they used a black, I believe it was a homespun with like speckly stuff in it. But I thought that the black big twist, or an even the red heart yarn with the metallic in it made it look so much more like sparkly, for the stars and stuff. and also had some silver with the sparkles in it. But this lady went back, or this person, sorry, don't know whether it was a lady or guy, but they went back and actually sewed a line all the way around on that specific row. But I just took and went ahead and what after what row that, like, if the first line was, I can't remember, I'm just throwing it out there, like row 9. After row 9, they put that ring. I just went ahead, stopped with the black, added in the silver, and went ahead and did single crochet all the way around and made my ring, and then picked up the black again and just started going. I didn't cut it off or anything. I just let it go, finished up the silver, and then started row 10. I didn't count the single stitch as a row. I just started from there and went, like, if it was supposed to be, that ring was supposed to be after row 9, I did that ring and then started as counting row 10 and went around. And it was 42, I think. 42 rows. Now she does not, or they did not do Pluto. I did Pluto myself, and I just kind of started doing, I think I either used what they used for Mercury pattern or I used the moon pattern, and where you had so many repeat rows to make it kind of taller, because there was some just go around so many times, just single stitch for to make the planet. I did make Pluto. I just didn't do as many of the single stitch, just one stitch all the way around. I didn't do as many rows. I think it was like 3 or 4 rows, and I did like 2. And then finished out doing the rest of it to make Pluto smaller, because Pluto is such a small planet. And I classify it as a planet, even though well, I don't know. They're back and forth. I know that they keep calling it, oh, yes, it's a planet. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. So I said, you know what? I grew up in the 80s, and that Pluto was a planet. So to me, Pluto is a planet, not a star. So I actually, in the playmat thing, the way the lady fixes it is that you do these loops. Now, I did my loops a little bit smaller than what she did as well, and I did them closer together because it's a drawstring playmat thing that when you get done with all the planets and stuff, you can store the planets in that playmat that you make. So it's a bag in itself. And so I took and made the outer drawstring the silver stuff so that it would be the ring for Pluto, because they didn't put Pluto in there. There is also a pattern for that solar system, a little rocket, and you can do just the rocket itself, and they put a little thing that you can Velcro to the underside of the rocket that makes it look like there's flames coming out of the rocket, or you can unvelcro it and just have the little rocket sitting. And the kids loved the rocket too. And there was a pattern for an astronaut as well, but I didn't have time to get that done for Vacation Bible School. So I did not do the astronaut to go with it. But it is a full set other than Pluto. And like I said, I made Pluto myself. But if you just go and type in solar system, and it should bring up that channel for the tutorial for that. Well, welcome in, Ebony Locks. That's the first time I've seen you. Yeah, I don't usually do this late, but I don't know. I just couldn't sleep. Last night my back was hurting and stuff, and I was up till was about 3:15, 3:30, something like that. So, and I got most of this little dress done last night. I think I got to here. Got to here last night, and then I worked on this today down. So, this is really fast. So, but like I said, I'm just making up the pattern as I go. And my husband, I got tickled with him again. He asked me for the last doll that I did. He says, "Did you write the pattern down for that one?" I said, "No." I said, I'm just winging it." I said, I didn't even count the stitch numbers when I was doing it. I just took and made a chain and checked to see if it would fit around the doll's head to slip it over, and I did the back kind of like this where it's open. Now the other one I was able to sew a piece of Velcro on it and it be able to Velcro shut, but this one I got a little bit tighter. So I'm going to have to do little hooks on there, and I have those little hook things. So that's what's going to be closing this. But because the doll heads are so much bigger than their necks, that's why I'm making that with that kind of an opening in the back so that they can get this over the doll's head just to change, put the clothes on her. So, but it's what I do is I just make a chain and make sure it fits around the doll, around its neck, or at least around its head, and then I go from there and just back and forth. And then when it gets long enough here to where I can attach under here for the arms, and then that's why my stitch markers are there. That just told me that's where I needed to just close up the armholes, and then just go close that up, and that's where I started, where I hooked it together here was right about the same row where I did the armholes, made the waist, and made sure it was long enough for the waist and then just started doing the skirt part and went from there. And I've learned some of it by watching some of Crystal Bag O' Day, from some of her toddler dresses. Some of hers, she does it this way. I think she has a kind of like what the American Doll, was it 18-inch dolls or something like that. I had gotten Miss Kitty one of the Walmart versions of those. I think it's called My Life Dolls or something, and I made a a little dress, and it was one that Bag O' Day had done for her daughter. But anyway, so I just kind of learned a little bit from watching Crystal. She's got a lot of toddler dresses. But I just kind of downsize it to make it fit these dolls. So let's see. Chris popped up. I'm sorry. I have to pick up my phone so I can read. I can't read that tiny print. She's making a baby blanket. I hope to finish this weekend. Yeah, I love watching Crystal's channel too, because I've learned so many new stitches from her that I didn't even know existed. I made a few of her patterns. My granddaughter has her mom's American Doll. That's cool. Yeah, I got Miss Kitty one of the ones from Walmart, the My Life ones. I never had a doll like that or anything. The baby doll I had, and I played with baby dolls when I was little. Miss Kitty played more with stuffed animals. She really didn't play with baby dolls too much. And the one baby doll she did play with, my dad had sent out for her for Christmas one year. And the only reason why she played with that doll was because it cried. It had a little pacifier. I think it was attached to the doll, and somehow or another she detached it. She broke the ribbon that was tied around it. Anyway, if you put the pacifier in the baby's mouth, it would make noises and its mouth would move like it was sucking on the pacifier. Well, its eyebrows would move up and down as well. And me and my husband was sitting there going, "Oh, this doll is creepy." So we always referred to it as the creepy baby doll. But if you took the pacifier out of the baby's mouth while it was sucking on the pacifier, it would start crying. Or if you were holding it and you just set it down and let it sit there on the floor for a while, it would start crying. Well, the only reason why she played with it was to hear it cry. So she would literally pull the pacifier out of its mouth just to make the thing cry. We're like, "No, don't do that. Put that back in there." And no. And she'd pull that pacifier back out of its mouth just to hear that baby cry. And we're like, "No, if you're going to do that, take it in the other room." But she played with that thing for, I think, 2 hours straight, just making that thing cry. And it had a baby bottle too that worked with it. I have no idea where that went. And we were cleaning up her room one day and we ran across it, and I said, "You need to keep this," because she was going to give it away. And I was like, no. I said, "You need to keep this doll because this is the only baby doll that you played with ever." And the only reason why that you played with it is because you wanted to hear it cry. And she would laugh. She would laugh at it when it would cry. I said, "You're a mean mommy. You're not supposed to let the baby cry." Oh, you're being a mean mommy. Give it its pacifier. No. She wanted to hear it cry. But yeah, it was so creepy. But yeah, if we ever found it sitting on the floor, we called it, there's the creepy baby. And if we ever knocked the pacifier out, we were like, oh, we better put that in there real quick. Because we didn't want to hear it cry. And she toted it around for a while. But Pat was the only baby that she ever played with, baby doll. She would rather play with stuffed animals. And when I got older, I liked teddy bears a lot. Hence my stuffed animals too. I like mine. This is Bill. Bill Nye the Sloth. I've got another one in my craft room, and I've actually ran across one of Miss Kitty's old T-shirts, and Bill Nye here is sporting one of Little Man's old T-shirts. He outgrew, so Bill Nye is wearing that. So he at least has some clothes. But when I find my other sloth in there, I had run across one of her favorite ones, and it had, I don't remember what it said. It was a pink little shirt, and it had Minnie Mouse on there. And she used to love that shirt. She'd, wear my Minnie Mouse shirt. Wear my Minnie Mouse shirt. And I'd have to find it for her so she could wear it. So my other sloth will probably be wearing that one. So let's see. Yeah, Crystal is really easy to learn from. See, when I first started learning, I found a little book from Walmart. That was probably 99 or 2000. And it had the pictures of each of the stitches of how to do it. And that was long before I even knew about YouTube and everything. So now I had learned how to do a chain many, many years ago. My mom had taught me when I was probably about Little Man's age, and he's almost 10. She had taught us how to do a chain, and she actually taught us how to do it by hand. And that was the first thing she taught us to do, was do a chain by hand, and basically that was just a bracelet. And she's like, well, if you keep doing these and you show more interest in it, then I'll teach you more later. So for a long time, the only thing I could do was make little friendship bracelets by hand. And just making just a simple chain. Then later she tried to teach me how to do it, and it was supposed to be a hat, and I got so far and I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. Don't know why I got the shape I had gotten. At that age, I didn't know what was going on, why it was doing what it was doing. And I took it to my mom and I said, what in the world's going on? Why is it doing this? And she's like, what in the world did you do? And she's like, what is that supposed to be? I said, well, it's supposed to be a hat. I said, but I don't know why it's doing this. And she said, there, let me see it. And she took that polyfill stuff, shoved it in there, closed it up, and says, here's your ball. She said, you made a ball. So, but it was because my stitches were too tight. Way too tight. So I ended up just making a ball. And she didn't teach me anymore after that. And then we moved here in Virginia back in 99. And I had just started working. And I had come home one day. My sister was crocheting. And I asked her, I said, what are you doing? She's like, oh, Mom gave me this to try to do. And just give me something to do while you were gone at work, because she said I was bored. She's like, we don't know anybody here. She said, I don't have any friends. I was like, well, I don't have any friends either. And she said, the only person we know is the neighbor lady, and she's friends with Mom, and all her kids were grown out of the house. And so Mom just decided to teach her how to crochet. And so I asked her to teach me, my sister. And so, which, like I said, I already knew how to do the chain, and I had forgot how to do a single crochet. And she had taught me, oh, you just do these, this loop, and you just go from here. And so that's basically how I started. It gave me something to do because I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I had met a few people at church, but really didn't know them enough, and really wasn't hanging out with them and stuff. And, so that gave me something to do. Let's see what Chris says here. My mom tried to teach me too. The only thing I remember her crocheting was rugs. She loved to sew instead. Yeah, my mom, my grandmother was the one that was really, really big on crocheting. My grandma sewed. She embroidered, and she crocheted. And a lot of main things that my grandmother crocheted was those hooded scarves. The heck? Okay. I think something's under a house. Something was making scratching noises. So I'm like, what the world is that? Something's under the house making noises. Sorry, y'all. It scared me. And my grandma taught me how to embroidery. Now, she didn't do the fill-in embroidery. Her embroidery was just the outlining stuff. I ran across a baby blanket in there going through some stuff. I think I found it upstairs in the kids' stuff. I don't know why it was up there in the kids' clothes or their bedding closet. But it was a pink blanket, and she had embroidered little people, I think. I don't remember. I found it. It's in the other room. But it had little red yarn ties on it where she tacked the back to the front. I have a pillowcase somewhere that she had made. I have a yellow baby blanket somewhere. It's packed up. I have no idea where it's at. I have not run across it. But I haven't looked in my wardrobe in the other room. It could be in there. But I do have a yellow, little bitty, tiny yellow quilt that my grandmother made for me, that was embroidered. And then I have an apron that's just a itty bitty tiny thing, and it has a little bluebird, I think, on the top. It's a red. I think Mom sewed the apron for her, and then she embroidered the little bluebird on it. And I've got it in a keepsake box upstairs. But my grandmother taught me how to do the embroidery stuff. I don't do it because I can't. My eyesight has degraded over the years, and I cannot see. Even with these glasses, I can see this pretty good, but tiny stuff, I just can't. It's stigmatism, but I just can't do it. My eyes I don't like it. So I don't do it anymore. Friend of my mom's taught me how to cross stitch years ago, and I can't see I can see it, but I have to use those magnifying glasses, and if I go from doing that and then look up in the room or look at the TV, my eyes just go, whoo, what did you just do to me? And so I have to sit there and try to refocus my eyes for the room. And then if I try to go back to doing the cross stitch, it takes me a good 10, 15 minutes to even see what I'm looking at again. So I don't like doing that too much. I know how to do it, but I just don't like the having to readjust my eyes to it, and doing it too much back and forth gives me headaches. So that's why I quit doing the cross stitch. When I was in high school, I had a lady teach me to hand piece quilt, and I made a table runner, and I tried making some more table runners, and I even tried a big quilt, and I gave up on it, and just, it's not for me. And one of the kids is babysitters. They do a lot of quilting. The girl's mom did a lot of quilting, so I gave her a lot of my stuff from quilting the fabric that I had. And she's like, "Are you sure you don't want money for this?" I said, "No." I said, "I'd rather see it go to use, and I know that you're going to use it. And if you don't, you'll probably pass it on to somebody else that will." So, I let her have it. So anyway, I just give up on it because I knew it wasn't gonna go anywhere. So I just rather see somebody that was willing to use it and give them And it was quite a bit of material. I had a lot of material that I had planned on doing quilts with, but I just didn't get far with it. Um, so I've tried a lot of different stuff. I tried knitting. I've tried doing it twice. Once my sister-in-law had given me, she had found it at a yard sale. She gave me some yarn that she had found, and it had the knitting needles, had the little stopper things on it, and it actually had the picture of how to do it. Other than it didn't show the pictures of how to cast off when you're done. And just reading on how to do it, it just went whoo, over my head. And so I had a baby blanket for a little man. And I mean, it was done except for the cast off. And I couldn't find anybody to teach me how to do the cast off. Because at that time, I didn't know anybody that knew how to knit. And so I ended up just packing it up. And we lived in a trailer at that time. And mice had got into it and chewed holes in it. So I just said, okay, well, there's that. Took the knitting needles out and just threw it away because they had chewed that blanket all to pieces. There was no fixing it. And then I tried picking it up again not too long ago, and I just said, just knitting is not for me. And so I had ordered a whole set of bamboo knitting needles with the string things on them, different colored strings. And I just put the stuff back in. I took one of the knitting needles out, tried it, and I just, nope, not for me. So, but I gave those to Miss Setta. So she's got my knitting set that I had bought. Because I just said, not for me. Let's see. Ebony says, for a long time, all I knew was single crochet and made a lot of single crochet blankets. I realize now they must have been very warm. Yeah. Yeah, Ebony, yeah, that probably was pretty warm. My very first project, I had started out trying to do pot holders, but when this guy that I had met when I first started crocheting, he asked me to make him a blanket. And he was a big guy. And he wanted this blanket to be able to, where if he rolled over, it didn't uncover him. So my mom had years ago found a king size quilt, or not quilt, comforter. And she cut it in half and sewed both of those sides together and ended up making two twin size, well, a little bit bigger than twin size blankets for me and my sister that matched. And then there was curtains that went with it, and she hung those in our room. So me and my sister had a matching bed set, and I think we just had plain white sheets, or we just used whatever sheets we had with it, but at least our blankets matched. But I had still had one of those, and I just took and did a chain down the length of one side of the blanket and then went back again And so I ended up, that was how wide I made it. And then I made it really long. It was a king size blanket. And it was all single stitch, or, single stitch crochet, in the back loops, because my sister didn't teach me that once you get that first row done, the next row, you're supposed to go through both loops instead of just one loop. So, and I had already had a huge section of it done. She's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing it that way?" It's like, "Well, that's what you told me to do, just the one loop." And so she's like, "Well, it looks cool, but that's not how you're supposed to do it, but it looks cool. But if I was you, since you got that far, I'd continue to do it." So I made a king size blanket all in single crochet in the back loop only. When I just turned around and went back and forth, just single crochet. It took me over 5 years to get it done, but I did get it done. And I did finish it before me and my husband got married. And when I got it done, I told him, I said, "Look, I have worked on this for over 5 years." And I said, somebody else had asked me for this. And I said, but with all the work that I put in this, I said, he don't deserve it. So I am giving you first choice. I said, if you don't want it, that's fine, as it was intended for somebody else. So I said, if you want to keep it, then I would love for you to, because of how much time it took me to do this and how much work I put in it. And I said, but I will understand if you didn't want it. I will see if he will purchase it. And if not, then I will just keep it for myself. And when I showed it to him, he liked the colors. And it was the colors for North Carolina Tar Heels. I did not do a design in it, because like I said, that was my very first project, and I really didn't know what I was doing, other than once I got done with the white, I moved on to one of the other colors of blue. And once that color was finished, with that skein, I did the next skein. So I just alternated. Now I did try to keep the color pattern, and it's in the other room. We still have it. It's over 20 years old. As me and my husband been married for 20 years, and I got it done way before we got married. But he did take it, and he liked it, and his favorite colors are blue. So, and he does like the North Carolina Tar Heels. So it worked out. I had win-win. I finished it, worked on it for 5 years. He liked the colors, and so I gave it to him, because the other guy didn't deserve it. So let's see. We have somebody else that joined us. Let's see. Well, Chris says, my mom made everything from beautiful little dresses to blankets. My mom used to make blankets. They're not well, she took that one comforter, turned it into two twin size, but probably a little bit bigger than twin size. I'd say probably about a twin full size blanket for us. And she used to make us little jumpers. And that pretty much was our new outfit for school. Was she would get that fabric that you get for $1 a yard, and she would buy several yards of it, and she would make me a little jumper. She'd make my younger sister a jumper. And sometimes she would get extra, and she wouldn't make my older sisters jumpers. She would make them skirts, and they would just like plain t-shirt with it. But and then one year she made all four of us girls these little puppet dolls for Christmas. Let's see. And then, yeah, Chris said, Ebony, that would be warm for the blanket she did when, the single stitch. Chris says, oh, that would be hard. And then we got Spring. Hi, Spring. Welcome in. People are saying to Spring. Spring says, my mom made most of my clothes also. Now, Grandma, she would get us, when we started school, she would buy us a new outfit for school. And then we would get a new outfit for Christmas from Grandma. A lot of times it was what we got instead of toys. And of course, Christmas with Mom was, if you needed socks, you got socks for Christmas. If you needed underwear, you got underwear for Christmas. And then our stockings, she did start doing stockings with, a friend of hers made stockings. But she did make sure that we knew that Santa Claus was not real. But anyway, we knew she was the one that put it in there. And we all knew that the candy that she put in there was the clearance candy from Halloween. Then she would probably put like little chapsticks in there, maybe a little bottle of lotion, something like that. And sometimes she would put Pop-Tarts in there, or sometimes it was granola bars, just a little something for us to eat for breakfast. Because she told us that because she was doing such a big Christmas lunch or dinner that she didn't have time to fix breakfast for us. And that's why she stuck the Pop-Tarts and the granola bars in our stockings, because that was breakfast. Because she was already cooking enough for lunch or dinner for us that she wasn't going to fix breakfast. So, that's how we got breakfast on Christmas morning. Let's see. Chris says she made the majority of my clothes until I started junior high. We had mother-daughter dresses every Mother's Day. Oh, that was so cool. Now, I always matched my little sister. Sometimes the mom would get a different color or different pattern print for my older sisters, because they were a little bit older than we were. And which, let's see, I think Dad said my oldest sister's 5 years older than me. Then the next one the one right above me is 3 years older than me. And then I'm one of the middles. So, and then my younger sister, she's 3 years younger than me. And then Mom started all over when I was 15 and had 2 more. So But a lot of the times, because we were so much younger, me and the youngest at the time, the one that's 3 years younger than me, we usually had the same color and matching dresses. And my two older sisters would usually get matching skirts or something like that. Um, so yeah, I'm one of six. uh, so which my two older sisters are half sisters. They are my dad's girls from his first marriage. Then there's me, and the younger one is just 3 years younger than me. Me and her are full blooded. And then mom got remarried when I was in sixth or seventh grade. I can't remember. Or it was in the summertime between those. I think it was between sixth and seventh grade when they got married. But he never had kids of his own. He had been married to a lady that had kids from a previous marriage, but he never had any kids of his own. So he wanted some kids of his own. And so him and mom had the two younger girls. And so when I was 15, of course, this is in the 90s, and the Walmart shopping carts were so much smaller then, and a car seat would fill up the whole basket. And so, in order to not fill up the basket with the car seat, I would carry my younger sister around in the store while mom did all the shopping. And yeah, oh, the looks that I got carrying around this newborn baby. And me being 15 years old. Of course, I didn't look like I was 15 either. I looked much younger. So I got a lot of dirty looks going through Walmart. I even had at one of the grocery stores, she had asked me to go check on the price of some fish at the meat department. And the lady back there, she's like, "Oh, how cute. How old is she?" And I looked at her, I said, "I don't know." And she gave me this awfulest look. Like, how in the world do you not know how old your child is? She thought that baby was mine. And I said, "Ma'am, this is my little sister." I said, "I'm just helping mom out. So I don't know how old she is." I said, "You'll have to ask my mom." And she goes, "Oh." And she's, "I'm sorry." She's, "I thought that was yours." I said, "No." I said, "If I had a baby at that age," I told the lady, I said, "if I had a baby at this age," I said, "my mama would kill me." I said, "I'm only 15." I said, "Mama would kill me." I had a baby at 15. But nowadays, you see young kids walking around with babies of their own all the time. Let's see. Spring says things like that is what makes us grateful in life. Yeah. Yeah, it does. And yeah, my husband's one of 7 kids. And, but see, their family really big on getting together and doing family get togethers a lot. My family wasn't like that. Which my mom is one of 7 as well. She's actually the youngest of 7 kids. My husband is the youngest of 7. Um, anyway, and in mom's family, they didn't get together a lot either. Because I think two of her brothers were in California. Let's see. One of her oldest sister was in the army, so she moved around a lot. And then the second oldest of the girls, her husband was in service, so she moved around a lot. And the youngest of the boys, he actually was in the army for a little while, but he actually stuck around. He kind of was mama's boy kind of thing. So he kind of stayed close to mom, grandma. And then my mom, being the youngest, she always took care of grandma. Grandma needed to go to the store. She took her to the store when she could, when grandma could go to the store. Because grandma got where she couldn't go to the grocery store herself. We had to go for her. And if grandma needed to go to doctor's appointments, just whatever. If grandma wanted to go to McDonald's because she just wanted to go to McDonald's, mom would take her. So, but anyway, my mom is a twin. But her twin was older than her by a few seconds. So she said, "Oh, she never let me live that down. That she was older than me by just a few seconds." She said she always reminded me of that I was the youngest. So, but she got hurt when they were teenagers really, really bad in an accident. So she didn't get around very good. So mom and her youngest brother, which he's older than mom, but is the youngest of the boys, mom and him kind of helped take care of her quite a bit until she moved out of state for a good long time. She had moved out of state and she didn't even talk to grandma, didn't send her mail or nothing. Nobody knew where she was at for a long time. And then she showed back up. But anyway, everybody was scattered every which way. But for a long time, it was my mom, her twin, and the youngest boy that stayed in Missouri close to grandma. But then there towards the end of grandma, mom was pretty much the only one that really took care of her. But anyway, let's see. Spring says, "Oh wow, that's a lot of kiddos." Let's see. Chris says, my brother was 10 years older and I was adopted." Oh, cool. Spring says, "My half sister is 8 years older than I." Cool. And then there's laughing. Spring says, "My dad was one of 9." Oh wow, 9. I think Grandma was, let's see, my grandmother was one of 12, or it's either 12 or 15 kids. Of course, Grandma, she did go through the Depression time. She actually even told me that at one time, I used to love to hear her tell us stories. Um, Me and my sister, that's 3 years younger than me, she she and I would stay the night with Grandma a lot. Um, and I think that we were probably the closest to her out of all the grandkids that got to stay with her a lot. Um, so we got a lot of stories from her, but she said that they had actually traveled by wagon, covered wagon. Um, and she said that her and her two younger sisters, they would have to get up in the morning, and before dawn, they would have to feed and milk the uh, cow or cows, I don't know which. They had to have all of the animals fed. Um, the horses, they had to have the cows fed, milked. They had to have the chickens fed and gathered eggs. And they had to go gather wood, whether it was cow chips, buffalo chips, whatever, to help start the fires. But they had to have all that stuff done with the animals fed and gathered whatever they needed to gather, had to have the fire going and have breakfast done by the time mom and dad got up. And if they didn't have all that done before her parents got up, they got in trouble. So all three, her and her sisters, I don't know if any of the others were with them. I just remember her saying those three. Um, and I actually knew those two sisters growing up. So um, those were two of my great aunts that I did get to know, and they were just the sweetest ladies. Um, miss them very much. They are very greatly missed. Um, but I just thought it was neat that, she got to travel that way. Um, and then she's like, she told me several times, she's like, things aren't they're just not the way they used to be. She said kids used to be able to just go play. And it didn't matter if they played on the neighbor's land. They didn't care. Um, the kids could just run around and play freely. You didn't have to worry about them getting shot or even getting sued because this child got hurt on your land, kind of thing. Um, and she said, we had one pair of shoes, and that was for going to church and going to school. So when we were at home, those shoes came off, and if we did our chores in bare feet, and we went and played barefoot. And as I asked her one day, I said, Grandma, why are your toenails like they are? They look weird. And she said, honey, that's from me playing with no shoes and no socks. We ran around barefoot. And she said, we stumped, me and my sisters, to go play in fields, and we'd go gather fruit, berries, nuts. She said sometimes we'd come back with turtle eggs. We would come back with all kinds of stuff that we'd find out in the woods playing and stuff for mom. So her and her sisters would go, and that was what they was on a scavenge hunt, really. That to them, they bring back stuff for their mom to do, cook or fix. And she said we would stump our toes so hard that she said we would stump the toenails off of our toes. And she said we wouldn't know that we were missing a toenail till we stuck our feet in the cold creek. But by golly, you knew that you were missing a toenail, or you had done something to your toe when you stuck your foot in that ice cold water. I said, yeah, Grandma, I bet you knew it then. I said, it probably hurt too, didn't it? She said, oh, it smarted, she said. But she was also ornery. She loved to play pranks on people. Christy says, my mom was one of 17. Oh, wow. They have all passed. We used to have lots of get-togethers. That's a lot, Christy. Now, when I was growing up, my grandmother and her two sisters were the only ones I knew of all her siblings. Of course, she did tell me that a lot of them, the reason being that they had so many siblings was that some of them didn't make it but a few months old. I think she had one or two that may have made it to like 2. And some of that was that there was something wrong with them, and that's why they only lasted for like a couple months. But the ones that at least got to like 2 or so was because of the diseases that they had back then. And she actually told me she never finished grade school. Of course, I think when she was going, 5th grade was like the highest that you could complete. But one of the family members had gotten some kind of sickness, and they banned the whole family from going to school because they could bring, even though they weren't sick with it, they could bring it into the school. So she never got to complete school. But when she did go, she told me that she never learned how to do math because she just didn't understand it. And she had, where they had the slates, she had to write, her problems on the slate. But, and she said the little boy that sat behind her, he noticed that she wasn't doing her math problems. And she said one day he goes, psst, hey, psst, psst. She says, what? He says, you gonna do those? She said, no. He says, well, I'm done. Here's mine. Let me have yours. So he did her work for her. So she never learned how to do math. Oh, we got somebody else here. We got Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Welcome in. Let's see. Christy says, oh, oops, here's Christy here says, my mom had polio, and so I was her giver for a lot of years after Dad passed. Oh, wow. Yeah, I hear that polio was pretty rough on people. And then Christy says, Mom went through the depression. She would have been 103. Shoot, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how old Grandma would have been if she was still alive. I know she was 73 or 74. So my grandmother passed away at a young age. But when to look at her in the face, she looked like she was probably in her 80s, if not 90s, when she passed away. But she was only like 73, 74 when she passed away. But that was back in 97. Spring says, sounds like my life as a kid. We wagon. Oh, you wagon trained. Okay, cool. That would have been neat. Christy says, I grew up in Denver until I was 13, then moved to rural Oklahoma. Oh, cool. Well, you're out there with one of my sisters. In Oklahoma. Um, her husband is in the Air Force, and he's stationed out in Oklahoma. And she's actually, I found out not too long ago, she's expecting her fourth, and this is a surprise to her. That for this fourth child, they weren't planning on having another. She's got 3. But surprise. And she is due, excuse me. She is due at the end of August, early September, right in there. But y'all, please do keep her in your prayers. She is having to take iron infusement treatments, as earlier this month, or I think it was earlier this month or towards the end of last month, she had went and visited my mom, and she had went to the doctor. I think Mom said her iron level is supposed to be at a 16, but before she had went out to visit my mom, her iron level was at a 2. It was extremely, extremely low. And Mom tried to get her to eat stuff that had iron in it and stuff while she was visiting Mom. And she finally did talk her into going and getting these treatments. But she said that she has to sit still for a whole hour for those treatments. And she can't take the kids with her. Mom did go out for a couple of the treatments because my sister's husband was out on deployment, and so there was nobody to keep the kids. So Mom went out there and stayed with her for those times. But he's back now, so he can actually be with the kids when she has to go for the treatments. And I think she said she's got 3 more left to go. So hopefully they can get her iron level back where it needs to be. But when Mom told me that it was supposed to be a 16 and she was down to a 2, I said, oh my goodness. I said, that is extremely low. I said, I'm glad that you did talk her into doing those. But she told me that, and I'm periodically check on her to see how she's doing. I'm really close to this sister. She's the one that's 15 years difference between us. But Mom was working at the time, and during the summertime, I took care of her a lot. So I kind of feel like I kind of helped raise her. So me and her are really close. And we also shared a room when the youngest came along, which was 2 years later after her. And so I was the lighter sleeper of the two older kids. And so if something like she needed something or whatever, Mom put her in there with me. She was 2. I was in high school and I hated it. Just having a 2-year-old wake you up in the middle of the night and you're in high school trying to get sleep to go to school the next day, and having a 2-year-old wake you up crying because they didn't want to have to go to the bathroom because going to the bathroom disturbed their sleep. So as I would wake up to her literally just sitting there crying on the edge of her bed, and I'm like, what in the world is wrong with you? Why are you crying? I gotta go pee. I'm like, well, you know where the bathroom is. Go. Okay. And she'd cry all the way down the hallway. And she'd be all the way back. And she'd finally lay back down and go right to sleep. But she'd sit there for a good 5-10 minutes crying because she had to go to the bathroom. And that was disturbing her sleep. But, and sometimes she would have nightmares. And she would want Mom. And I'd wake up to her crying. And there was times that Mom didn't answer the door and she couldn't get in. So she'd come back, she'd cry, and I can't get Mommy. I'm scared. So I was like, you want to get in bed with me? Uh-huh. So she'd climb and get in the bed with me. And luckily enough, she didn't travel a lot. So we were good on that. She got on the side closest to the wall because I was scared she'd fall out. Because my bed was a twin size bed, but it was a little bit higher than her toddler bed. And her toddler bed had those special rails thingies on it to keep her from falling out. But one of her favorite toys to sleep with, and that was another thing that kept me awake at night too, was my oldest sister had give it to her for her birthday one year. But that was when Tickle Me Elmo was very, very, very popular. But she got her the Tickle Me Cookie Monster. Not Tickle Me Elmo, because you couldn't get a Tickle Me Elmo back then. They were extremely hard to get. But anyway, that child absolutely loved that Tickle Me Cookie Monster. She would not go to sleep without that toy. So I got to hear, because she would hug that thing and she would go to sleep with hearing that Cookie Monster laughing. So I got to hear until she went to sleep for at least half an hour to an hour. Cookie Monster sitting there going, ha 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 ha. Oh boy, oh boy. And that was not fun. And every so often you would hear it throughout the night after she finally went to sleep, because she would let go of it and she'd roll over on top of him. So all of a sudden in the middle of the night, you would hear Cookie Monster going off. And occasionally, she would kick him out of the bed. And I would hear this big old thud. And then I would hear, ha 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 ha, oh boy, oh boy. And I went, yes. Because I didn't have to hear it the rest of the night. Once he fell on the floor, she wouldn't find him again. She would leave him there. And Mom had said, because she loved that toy so much, she says, one day, she says, I don't know what we're going to do. She says, well, I guess we'll have to put some more batteries in that toy once those batteries go bad. She said, because that kid absolutely loves that toy. I said, the heck you are. I said, you put batteries in that thing. She's sleeping in your room. And she's like, well, she can't fit in there. She says, I already got my full-size bed and your youngest sister's crib in here. There's no room for another bed. I said, by golly, I will clean out your closet floor and you can put her toddler bed in there and she can sleep in there if you replace those daggone batteries. Toy. And she started laughing at me. She's like, what in the world is wrong with you? Why are you so adamant and not putting those in there? I said, you don't have to hear that thing go off all night long. And she started laughing at me. She's like, you shouldn't be that way. She loves that toy. I said, yes, but I don't get any sleep because of that toy, laughing all night long. Let's see. Christy says, prayers for her. Thank you, Christy. Spring says, okay, I'm finally able to go to bed and try to sleep. My very close friend lost her dad tonight. Oh, no. Prayers, Spring. Prayers for you, for her and y'all. I say Spring says prayers sent for your sister. Christy says prayers for Spring and her friend. So Christy says my son had Elmo. Hi, welcome in, Helen. Yes, I'm still live. I got on here kind of late. Let's see, I started at almost midnight. It's showing 2 hours. Wow. Can't believe I've been on here for 2 hours. But y'all been talking to me, so. Well, thank you for joining, Christy. It was fun. Yeah, it's getting kind of late. But yeah, I think I'm gonna hop off and go sit in the living room and work on this. That's why I can't sit still too well right now. My back's hurting, so I may have to go take me some more ibuprofen. Maybe that'll help. But yeah, this spring, hope you get some sleep. And Christy, hope you get some sleep too. Yeah, usually I do too, Helen, whenever my back hurts. I don't sleep good. But air conditioner's in that room too, so I'm getting really hot sitting in here as well. So that's not helping much either, being in pain and sitting here sweating too. So, but thank y'all for coming and visiting with me. It's been fun. I hope y'all have a wonderful and blessed weekend. Bye, y'all.